just being ready means that you can go, and it reduces that execution risk when you're in a process. So just as an intro, guys, I'm Martin Dean. I'm the Corporate Finance Director. We're joined by Tom today, who works in the accounts team. We're just having a chat. I'm going to chat, as we do, about certain topics. So this one's about transaction readiness and getting business ready to sell. So I brought Tom in because Tom looks after our clients on a regular basis, has those regular touch points. So it's just so important that we work well as a team when we're looking after our clients. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first topic is around the importance of clean and accurate financials. So again, for me, I mean, I bang the drum about this so much. And it's very hard. It's a hard sell for a lot of clients to convince them to keep up to date with monthly management accounts, see the cost as a benefit longer term. Because we understand, don't we, most business owners, we've got a system here where, we can make it really sort of affordable for businesses to have that monthly bookkeeping option and making sure their finances up to date. But it's still an investment cost, when they've got to invest in other things. So what do you tend to find, when you're having conversations, when you're getting clients on board, do they still see it that way? It'd be good to get your sort of opinion.
Yeah, I think that there is a big piece around that in terms of when you're first talking to clients, it's sort of what is your sort of day-to-day look like, and trying to make them see the value in sort of that, not only the bookkeeping piece, but the management accounts piece as well, and selling that as a whole package. So it's not just, we're not just there as advisors to do the compliance stuff in terms of tax, VAT, year-end stuff. We're there to advise you throughout the year, make sure you've got those up-to-date financial records and everything like that. And like you mentioned, obviously we make it sort of, in terms of the bookkeeping side, make it like really affordable. And in terms of the management accounts and providing that, it's all really good, but I think they do see it as, a lot of the time it's showing them that it is an investment and rather than just a cost. So if they're just viewing it as a cost and it's something that we're going to do and they're not really seeing the value, whereas flipping that round and saying, no, this is going to help you in the long run and it is an investment cost, and further down the line, it's going to give you greater control over the financials, it's going to give you a better understanding of the financials. So you've got that to consider, but it's sort of bringing them around to that way of thinking. Some clients are already there, and they're happy to go. It's we see the value in this. It's really important, and we want to drive forward with this. And then some clients, it's a bit more of a, they might just be new to it. It might not be something that they've ever done. As the business has grown, it might not be something they've done in the past.
And I think you're right. I think there's the value add on an ongoing basis. So they've got that control, that visibility, they feel in control of the finance function, they understand the numbers. But it's really hard to see the long-term benefit of it. And where I come in is like, well, if you're looking to sell your business at any point, really, ideally you need at least 3 years worth of management accounts on a monthly basis, where any buyer will want to analyze information and go through as part of their due diligence. So it's quite hard to see that, isn't it? If it's
definitely. And I think if it's a business that's been going, like, ultimately people set business up for different reasons. They could have been going a year, 2 years. It could be like a lifestyle business, or they could set it up in mind with, in 10 years I do want to exit. And the different types of people are going to have different views into how they want to grow and develop their business. And I think that they're also a little bit of educating people on what actually being exit ready or transaction ready looks like. And I think they might just see it as, we want to sell our business in 10 years, but not actually understand what the implications of that are, or what they need to do to achieve to be ready ready for that.
I think you're right, and I see that a lot. But you made a good point there about business owners. Everyone's different, aren't they? Some businesses, they're maybe not designed to be sold. I think every business can be designed to be sold, but definitely. It's the business owners. Do they want a lifestyle business where they want to extract the surplus profits out to live a good life, what X, Y, and Z? Or do they see the benefit in the share value and growing it and maybe having to invest some of that surplus cash along the years into team to allow it to grow? So it does depend on the individual. I think, I think that's quite important. So that was the focus on the financials. So we just touched on it briefly there. In terms of legal considerations and structures as well, again, from my point of view, really important to get your ducks in a row. From a legal perspective, seeing so many transactions where there's issues from a legal point of view. So things where often tends to be with property, where lease agreements aren't in place, or something to do with that contract, specific contracts aren't there. Maybe the employee contracts aren't strong enough. So again, from my point of view, when I'm having those early conversations with clients, is having that conversation with them and saying, look, you need proper contracts in place, proper terms with your suppliers, your customers, get all these things aligned, because when you get to that point, you're not going to be, a buyer's not going to either A, chip the price or walk away because you haven't got the robust sort of legal structure in place as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot around that. It sort of links to the financials as well, like these changes in standards in terms of how we're reporting on leasing and things like that. So sort of we're looking at that in a much more sort of in-depth way at the minute, because from Jan 2026 that all changes, and we do look a lot of the time as well in terms of like shareholding and company structures and holding companies, having holding companies in place, and what's the best way to structure that as well, especially if there's business partners on multiple branches of the same family and things like that. Like, what's the best way to structure it? Who owns the shares? How are they owned? Have they got alphabet shares in place? Is it a complex structure? Which is all going to feed into that. But as well, like you mentioned, having those good contracts with suppliers and customers and things like that, and having all that in place. The suppliers and customers should be a focus anyway. Because you want to make sure you've got good positive terms in there. Because that's all going to feed into cash flow as well. If you're offering your customers 60-day terms, 30-day terms with your suppliers, then that's obviously then going to be an issue. So in terms of like cash flow and things like that. So you need to be looking at things like that, definitely. And like I say, that we're much more involved now, really, in the sort of the asset side and the leasing side, because there's changes coming in as well. So I think that all of it is really important, and I think as part of what we do as well, we in terms of structuring, how to structure the business and the group and things like that. If there's a group structure in place, it might not be appropriate, but all that sort of stuff, we have those conversations on a regular basis now. So I think it's really important to do that, so people understand what the positives and what the pitfalls are as well.
And I think what I often see is, and it's pretty common, every business, even I do it, here at Gravitate, is taking the time to step away and think strategically about stuff. You get so bogged down by the day-to-day, you don't think of these things. So just, get in a date in the diary every quarter, just sit down with your senior team or with a NED or with an advisor, somebody, to just think strategically about stuff. That's so important, because it's often overlooked, but it really is important, because it does focus your mind on these sorts of things. You can focus on things like, often, again, from a transaction readiness point of view, if you're looking in advance, well, one sort of issue that's often crops up is around customer concentration. If you're a business where you're really reliant on one customer, often business owners think, but they're brilliant, they're a great customer. But from an exit point of view, there's huge risks there. What if that customer leaves? So you've got to make sure that either the terms with that customer are really strong and robust, or start to think about diversifying. How can we reduce that concentration and that sort of dependency on that customer? And because, again, thinking of the future, unless you're doing maybe a management buyout in the future, then that's just a continuation of the business, hopefully, if you do it right. But if you're looking to sell it externally, they're instantly going to look at that and think, that's risky. That's risky for us.
And I think there is an element of, I always have conversation with clients to say, look, your job is to do what you do and grow your business, whatever that business may be. That's your job. And as sort of your outsourced FD or your external advisor, my job is to help you think more strategically and think about the bigger picture. And running the business day to day is one thing. You might be fantastic at that. The other stuff, the back office stuff, the financial stuff, the more strategic stuff, you might not be. And that's why we're here, to have those conversations and to sort of almost like provoke different ways of thinking.
And it works. I've been in meetings, client meetings. Obviously, we're really good that we have either monthly or quarterly catch-ups with a lot of our clients, and I think they do value that, just coming in, and it allows them that time where they're coming in and talking about
away from the
stuff,
business.
away from the business. It's so important that you do it. You just got to commit the time to it, I think. Okay, great. So I think the other important thing from my point of view, marketing and business plan, again, easy to overlook, because most business owners, they set something up, they start going, and then one thing leads to another, and actually they don't have a plan a lot of the time. They have a bit of a plan, but they're just tackling the next day, the next order, whatever. But I think it's important to always have I always say, have a business plan, have a basic business plan of what you want to do, and just review it every so often.
Yeah.
And come back to that business plan. Make sure you've got KPIs in there that are relevant to your sector. So what drives growth in your sector? What are other people going to be interested in your business about? Put yourself in their shoes and come back to, well, somebody on the outside looking in, what would you need to analyze that business? So I think, marketing, making sure you're putting yourself in the position where, because I always say this, sometimes you can plan to sell your business and go through this transaction readiness process. But what if somebody comes up in the middle, a perfect buyer that really wants to buy your business? Well, wouldn't you rather have the information ready to hand with a proper business plan? So that, because one of the biggest things that deals often fall over is through delay. Where people aren't ready, and therefore it takes further to get everything in order. And then all of a sudden, maybe a buyer's thinking, actually, I've got this opportunity over here. So being ready means that you can go, and it reduces that execution risk when you're in a process.
Yeah, and I think that's really important what you say about being ready and things like that. And I think from what I find, especially if clients and businesses are on sort of the beginning of the journey almost, and they might be a year in, 2 years in, whatever they might be, and we're having these discussions, and we'll sit down and say, right, what are you forecasting to do for the next 12 months, 24 months? What is your plan? What's your business plan? How do you want to achieve this? What do you want to do? And a lot of the time, the answer is, well, I struggle to do a forecast or a business plan because I don't know. And I think I think it's a bit of an education piece on a forecast and a budget is exactly that. It's not written in stone. A business plan is a plan, and plans can change, for good or bad. If you write a business plan and say in the next 2 years I'm going to get to 2 million revenue, and you get to 4 million revenue, great, but your plan needs to change. So it's not always a negative thing if you need to relook at your forecasted figures, relook at your business plan. And I think that's the thing that people have a lot of nervousness around. They say, I'm going to make this plan, and if I don't hit these targets, then I need to change all this, I need to do this, I need to do that. Which it can be a bit of a daunting thing, but it's not always negative. It could go the other way, and you could be way ahead of where you expected to do, but you still need to sort of assess where you are, because that then changes the trajectory of the business. Are you then looking at selling in 5 years' time rather than 10 years' time? Or are you looking at doing, investing in something else, expanding the business, adding another sort of division or something? It could be anything. But I think that there is some nervousness. What I found with clients is around sort of getting it wrong. And it's almost like, it's important to try and get it as right as you can, but it almost doesn't matter, because you can revisit it. It's not like, right, this is set in stone, never coming back to it.
You've got to test it, haven't you? You've got to test something, be brave and test something to know if it works or not. If it doesn't work, well, at least you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that is important, that clients need to be brave and bold with a lot of their decisions around pricing, about maybe taking sort of risks, being different, thinking about their USPs, what makes their business different, and focusing on those USPs. So,
Definitely.
So look, I think that's enough. We've talked a little bit. They're only intended to be short videos. These just general sort of catch up really about the topic situation. So hopefully that's been helpful. And cheers, Tom.
Thank you very much.